Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where viral stories meet everyday curiosity. So, um, if you've spent any time at all scrolling through your feeds lately, I mean, really any of them, your timeline has probably been taken over by green.
So much green.
Right. And it's not just, a random color. It's that very specific, shimmering Emerald City green. All of a sudden, you're seeing clips of, like, gravity-defying black hair, these incredibly intense farewells and harmonies that just soar.
They're literally everywhere.
They are. We're in the middle of this massive, just undeniable resurgence of Wicked. And the absolute, epicenter of it all seems to be one song, For Good.
It always comes back to For Good.
It does. We're seeing everything. I mean, people attempting those really difficult duet harmonies.
Which is brave. Very brave.
So brave.
Yeah.
And then you have these super emotional reaction videos and these really detailed nostalgia edits comparing every single stage performance that has ever existed. The fandom is just spiked right back into the mainstream.
Feels like it never really left, but this is a different level.
It is. So our mission today is to do a real deep dive into this. We're going to unpack what For Good actually is, why this song specifically is dominating everything right now, and maybe get into some of the technical debates that the hardcore fans are having.
Oh, we have to. The arrangement debate is key.
Exactly. And, ultimately, what does this all tell us about collective memory, how fandom works now, and just the enduring power of musical theater?
Well, it's a perfect case study, really.
It is. So to start, let's just ground ourselves in the heart of the show. For someone who might only be seeing this through a 30-second viral clip, what is For Good? What's the context?
Well, what's so fascinating is that you can't really separate the song from its function in the show.
Right.
It's the definitive emotional climax. It's the big Act 2 duet, and it happens right at the point of no return.
The big parting of ways.
The final one. It's sung between Elphaba, who the world is now convinced is the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda, who is fully stepping into her public role as the Good Witch.
So it's not just a sad goodbye song.
Oh, not at all. It's way more complex. It's this profound acknowledgement that their friendship, which is, this incredibly complicated bond that was forged against all odds, social, political, even just personality differences, has fundamentally changed both of them forever.
Right. It's the moment where they finally just accept each other, faults and all.
Yes, and forgive each other. They forgive the compromises they both had to make to survive in their world. The stakes are, they're everything in that moment.
It really does boil down the entire journey into one song. I mean, if you just look at the lyrics, Stephen Schwartz packs so much in there. It's about that life-changing friendship, sure, but it's also about acceptance. It's about forgiveness.
And that bittersweet feeling. That's the key, isn't it?
Totally. The bittersweet necessity of parting ways, even when you know that the bond itself is permanent, even if, being together isn't.
And that specific bittersweet quality is why it jumped out of musical theater circles so easily. Since it debuted back in 2003, this song has become something like a secular hymn. It just speaks to these really big, universal human moments.
You hear it everywhere.
Everywhere. Its legacy outside of Broadway is huge. You hear For Good at graduations all the time. What better song for a class saying goodbye to each other and to this formative time in their lives?
Perfect for it.
And memorials, too. It's used so often at memorials because it's this beautiful way to say, this person had a permanent, positive impact on my life. And then, of course, anniversaries, milestone birthdays, celebrating friendships. It just fits.
It's basically the ultimate thank you note, but, with a huge orchestra.
That's a good way to put it.
That one lyric, who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good. That's it. That's the nucleus, right? That idea of being permanently transformed by knowing someone.
Absolutely. And while, that emotional punch was first delivered by Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, that iconic foundational pairing.
The originals.
Idina's just raw, rock-infused belt and Chenoweth's kind of perfect crystalline soprano. But the song's meaning is so powerful that it doesn't actually depend on those specific voices.
That's a great point. It's resilient.
It's incredibly resilient. And that resilience is exactly why this new wave, this new association with the film cast is having such a massive impact right now.
And that brings us right to the cinematic catalyst. We have to talk about the giant, flashing, emerald green reason. This is all trending now. The movie. The hype isn't just, some organic nostalgia bubbling up. It is being actively and very strategically fueled by the Hollywood machine.
And what's really fascinating about that is the decision to make it a two-part event. That's not something you see all the time.
No, it's a big swing.
It's a huge swing. We're getting part 1 in late 2024, and then we have to wait a whole year for part 2 in 2025. And from a marketing perspective, this is, frankly, Genius.
It keeps the hype train on the tracks for longer.
For so much longer. Instead of one big spike of interest and then, the inevitable rapid decline, this two-part approach keeps Wicked at a high level in the cultural conversation for nearly 2 years straight.
Wow.
Every casting announcement, every trailer for part one, and then every single tiny crumb of news about part two. It all just keeps the algorithm happy and keeps fans speculating. It's a masterclass in maintaining momentum.
And of course, the casting choices are the accelerant here. I mean, this is not a quiet indie film cast.
Not even close. You have Cynthia Erivo, who is just this phenomenal, technically perfect singer and an incredible actress as Elphaba.
A powerhouse.
True powerhouse. And then maybe even more buzzworthy, you have a global pop superstar, Ariana Grande, as Glinda. That combination is just explosive.
It is. Their casting alone is enough to reignite the whole thing, but it also pulls in totally new audiences, right?
Completely new audiences. Erivo brings that prestige, the Tony and Grammy winning credentials that reassure the dedicated theater fans. She's the safe pair of hands.
Right. Don't worry. We respect the material.
Exactly. But then Grande brings this monumental global pop audience, millions of people who might never have even thought about seeing a stage show, and she brings them right into the world of Oz.
And you can see the result of that online every day.
Oh, absolutely. The internet is just flooded with every tiny scrap of content related to them. It's not just the official trailers, which are still pretty rare. It's rumored soundtrack snippets. It's behind-the-scenes photos. It's leaks from the movie set.
Yeah, those grainy, zoomed-in photos.
Those are the ones. And these little fragments, these often unofficial bits of content, they circulate so widely, and they generate all the discussion themselves. The official marketing barely has to do anything yet.
It really does show you how the modern social media engine works. It's not about watching a commercial anymore. It's about actively creating the conversation in the empty spaces between the official announcements.
And nothing is better for active creation than a duet challenge.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
That's the thing that transforms the song from something you listen to into something you do. When you look at why For Good is so perfect for these short-form video duets, it's all in the structure.
It's the harmony.
It's more than just harmony, it's the counterpoint. Glinda and Elphaba are often singing different melodic lines at the same time, weaving in and out of each other.
Okay.
So it's a duet, but it's not simple. It gives you two distinct high-stakes emotional roles that people can film themselves playing. You can be Elphaba and sing that soaring main melody, or you can be Glinda with that higher, more reflective harmony line. Then someone else can jump in and fill the other role.
So it's built for collaboration.
It's practically begging for it. It creates millions of these little virtual choirs all connecting over this one piece of music. You're not just singing along, you're actively performing a part of the dramatic structure, even if it's just for 30 seconds.
And beyond the singing, the actual phrase "for good" has taken on a life of its own, hasn't it?
It really has. We're seeing the language of the trend evolve. People use that phrase meaning, permanently in all kinds of captions and video edits. They're applying the emotional weight of the song to their own lives.
Like what?
Things like, I finally quit that toxic jog for good, or this trip changed my perspective for good. The song is providing this deeply resonant vocabulary for people to talk about personal transformation online.
So the film is the spark, but this universal emotional core is the fuel that's really keeping the fire going. Why do you think some musical theater songs, especially ones like this, just hit a cultural nerve and go viral periodically?
I think it's their ability to act as instant, high-stakes, emotional shorthand. A generic pop song can be about a breakup, sure. But a musical theater number like this carries the weight of a whole story. Years of friendship, conflict, betrayal, forgiveness, all baked into its DNA.
So when you hear it, you're not just hearing pretty notes.
Exactly. You're immediately accessing the memory of all that drama. And that deep resonance just happens to align perfectly with our current moment. I mean, think about the last few years. The world has been in this constant state of flux.
A lot of endings and beginnings.
So many job changes, social shifts, people reevaluating their whole lives. For Good offers this really mature, profound soundtrack for that. It acknowledges that even if a chapter has to close, the change that came from it is permanent.
There's a real comfort in that, isn't there? It tells you that even if you have to part ways with someone or something, their impact on you is indelible. It's incredibly stabilizing when everything else feels uncertain.
That's the emotional anchor, and that's why it remains a cultural touchstone even for people who've never seen the show.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little and get into where the conversation gets really heated online. The fan theories, the debates.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just love the song anymore. You have to have a strong opinion on how it should be presented.
Oh, yes. And nothing, and I mean nothing, is being debated more intensely than the music itself.
The great arrangement debate.
It is the central conflict. This is where, deep musical knowledge meets this fierce emotional ownership from the fans. They are passionately, and I mean passionately, arguing about whether the film is going to modernize the song's orchestration.
So, like, will they add pop beats to it?
Basically, yeah. Will the musical director stay faithful to Stephen Schwartz's original Broadway score, which is sacred to a lot of people, or will they add, more pop production elements to fit the vocal styles of someone like Ariana Grande?
And that's a huge deal for the fandom.
It's massive because changing the arrangement even a little bit can completely alter the emotional feel. If you overproduce a really delicate, intimate moment like For Good, you risk losing the very thing that makes it so powerful and so devastating.
And that leads right into the vocal showdowns.
Yeah.
The internet is just full of edits comparing the original cast to the film cast. For listeners who might not be deep into vocal pedagogy, can you break down the difference? Why is this comparison so critical?
Okay, so this is crucial. The original duo, Menzel and Chenoweth, they basically set a new standard for modern musical theater vocals. Idina Menzel, as Elphaba, became famous for her belt.
Belt, right.
And for anyone listening, belting is essentially using your chest voice, the way you normally speak, to hit these incredibly high, powerful notes. It's super demanding, and it has this raw, gritty, emotional quality that was perfect for Elphaba's rebellious character.
And Chenoweth was the opposite.
The complete opposite. Kristen Chenoweth, as Glinda, used a very controlled, almost crystalline soprano. It was a lighter, more precise, almost operatic sound. Her style highlighted Glinda's polish and, her initial shallowness. It was the perfect vocal contrast.
So now we have a whole new set of expectations with Erivo and Grande.
Exactly. Cynthia Erivo is an absolute powerhouse. She can definitely belt, but her style often has this incredible technical precision and a more fluid, smooth quality than Menzel's rawness.
And Ariana Grande.
Well, Ariana Grande, while she has a theater background, is known for a very different kind of soprano. It's pop-infused, incredibly nimble, and she's famous for her vocal runs and riffs. That agility is her signature.
And that's what fans are worried about.
That's the core of the debate. They're analyzing every single live performance she's ever done, trying to predict how her signature pop style will handle Glinda's parts. Will all those riffs and runs detract from the raw, simple emotion of the farewell? Or will the film find a way to use her vocal agility to add a new layer to Glinda's character arc?
It's this classic battle, isn't it? The nostalgia for the original versus the anxiety and excitement over a new interpretation.
Totally. You have the original fans who are like planting their flag, and then you have this wave of new fans who are just trying to understand the legacy they're walking into. And that friction, that conversation, is the perfect engine for viral content.
So beyond the music, what about the story? Fans are also speculating about the narrative itself, right? I've seen theories that the two-part movie will put even more focus on the friendship.
And that would be a very, very smart move for the director, John M. Chu. I mean, a stage show has to be efficient. It has to move.
Right, there's no time to waste.
But a two-part film gives you the luxury of time. It lets you expand on the scenes leading up to For Good. You can spend more time showing their bond develop, showing the small moments of vulnerability and joy and conflict.
So by the time you get to the song, the emotional payoff is even bigger.
Exactly. The more invested the audience is in their complicated relationship from the beginning, the more devastating and meaningful that final duet becomes. It lands with so much more weight.
And it's interesting how the themes of the song are being reinterpreted now through this modern lens of identity. It's not just about two witches anymore.
Absolutely. The conversation online is about two people navigating these intense social pressures and trying to define themselves against the system. The themes of forgiveness, of change, of self-acceptance, they resonate so deeply with current discussions about personal evolution. Well, Elphaba has to forgive the world for demonizing her, but Glinda has to forgive herself for the compromises she made to be popular. That journey speaks directly to audiences today who are constantly thinking about their own authenticity and how external pressure shapes who they are.
That's a powerful connection.
It is. And some interpretations are even framing it as a queer-coded farewell, speaking to these profound bonds that exist outside of traditional social structures, but are just as transformative. It adds this whole other layer of universal meaning.
Now, we can't talk about this without talking about the nostalgia factor. This isn't just a random spike. It's being driven by a very specific group of people.
Oh, this is the peak of the 2000s nostalgia cycle in action. The trend is being fueled almost entirely by millennials and older Gen Z.
The original theater kids.
The original theater kids. The generation that grew up completely obsessed with the original Broadway cast recording, who saw the show as this major cultural event. They're adults now, they run social media, and they are serving as the official, unofficial gatekeepers of this nostalgic memory.
They're the ones making all those compilations.
You're making the compilations, they're sharing the memories, and they're introducing the emotional weight of the show to younger generations who might only know Ariana Grande as a pop star. It's the moment where the Calder's theater kid finally gets to be mainstream cool.
And it helps that Wicked has this incredibly reliable, built-in fandom.
It has one of the most powerful fandoms in entertainment. It's one of the most successful musicals of all time. It's been running for over 2 decades. It has proven cultural longevity.
So the fandom is predictable.
Very predictable. It reliably spikes anytime there's a major announcement or a leak related to the film. It's this powerful cultural force that can be instantly reactivated by a single high-profile trigger, like casting a global superstar.
It really shows that even in this, super fast, disposable world of viral trends, something with genuine emotional depth can be re-engaged across generations in an instant. So let's zoom out for a minute and think about the bigger picture here. This isn't just about one song. It says a lot about the life cycle of a big musical in the 21st century. What can we learn from this about the adaptation boost?
The adaptation boost is this really powerful, repeatable phenomenon. We've seen it time and again. A beloved stage musical gets a massive second life, reaches a whole new global audience when it gets a successful film adaptation.
Like Les Mis or Hamilton.
Exactly. Think about the cultural wave that came with the Les Miserables film, or what Disney Plus did for Hamilton. The film cycle is essential because it takes the show out of the theater and puts it in front of millions of people who would never buy a ticket to a Broadway show.
And it also satisfies the existing fans.
It does both. It re-engages the superfans who are usually desperate for any new version of the material while introducing it to a massive new audience. It solidifies the show's place in broader pop culture.
And Wicked is hitting that 20-year mark now, which feels significant. Debuting in 2003, it's not just surviving, it's thriving 2 decades later. Why is that time frame so important for this kind of cultural endurance?
That 2-decade point is often when something transitions from being just recent to becoming a confirmed cultural touchstone. It proves it wasn't a flash in the pan. It resonated with an entire generation.
And that generation is now old enough to be nostalgic for it.
Exactly. The original fans are in their late 20s, their 30s. They have the cultural authority now to reshare and validate the things they loved when they were young. They become the curators of that nostalgia, passing it down to a younger generation that sees the early 2000s as like a cool vintage era.
But I do have to ask a slightly skeptical question here. When you take a profound 4-minute song like For Good and you shrink it down to a 15-second duet clip for social media, aren't you losing something? Isn't that inherently reductive?
That is a completely fair and necessary question, and I think the answer is yes and no. From a pure storytelling standpoint, of course it's reductive. But from an emotional sharing standpoint, it's incredibly efficient.
What do you mean by efficient?
Well, these platforms are built for short-form emotional resonance. They provide an instant hit of high-stakes feeling. You don't actually need the full context if you already have the emotional memory of the song stored away.
So for the existing fans, that little clip is like a key.
It's a key that instantly unlocks this huge vault of stored emotion and memory from the full story. And for new fans, the sheer vocal drama and the beauty of the harmonies are compelling enough on their own to make them curious.
So social media isn't just sharing the song, it's acting as an accelerator for a collective memory.
That's a perfect way to put it. It resurrects pieces of art that fit the current collective mood. And right now, in this very transitional world, there's a real cultural need for bittersweet reflection, for gratitude, for shared memories. For Good delivers that feeling instantly. The short format just lets people tap into that feeling and share it as a way to communicate.
It's like a way of expressing a really deep, complex feeling without having to write a whole essay about it. You just post the clip and everyone who gets it gets it.
Precisely. The shared context does all the heavy lifting for you. And it all aligns with this broader nostalgia for early 2000s culture, the fashion, the music. But Wicked is unique because it's not just an aesthetic. It brings genuine high-stakes emotion to the table. And it has these modern participatory tools like the duet challenge to drive the engagement.
Okay, so to bring this all together, what does this massive algorithm-fueled trend around For Good ultimately tell us about modern fandom? What's the big takeaway?
I think the biggest takeaway is that modern fandoms are active participants. They are not passive consumers waiting to be fed content. They are the ones driving the conversation.
They're making the content.
They are making the content. They're generating the theories about the arrangement. They're creating the side-by-side vocal comparisons. And they're using the music itself through things like the duet challenges to tell their own stories.
They're not waiting for the studio to give them a trailer. They're filling that 2-year gap, with their own high-quality, emotionally charged content and debates.
And that active co-creation is what solidifies the song's relevance. It's a feedback loop. Because the fandom engages so deeply with Wicked, and the material gives them so much to work with, the song's cultural status has been changed. For good.
I knew that was coming. A phenomenal synthesis. This deep dive really shows that the resurgence of For Good is a perfect storm. You have the strategic rollout of a massive film, the huge star power of its leads, and this powerful wave of nostalgia that's tapping into these universal themes that just connect all of us. Thank you so much for diving deeper with us today.
My pleasure.
Next time on Trending Unpacked, we're shifting gears to the world stage, breaking down what's trending around Miss Universe 2025 and why the pageant conversation is exploding online. See you then.